Yep. Oh boy, David. It is Monday. And you know what? The insanity hasn't stopped. You know, I live in a state where it's called at will, which means I can fire you for any reason. You're fired. Florida, I can fire you because you're gay. Believe it or not. In Florida, I can fire you because you wore a blue shirt and glasses. This is an at-will state. Many people work for companies that have moral clauses. Others are just in shock over what people have actually been on the record and said. You know, when you got people like AOC, Crockett, Bernie Sanders, and the likes of Nancy Pelosi that gush vitriol hate, or like Gavin Newsom try and deny it. This is where we are at in a political scene. But the difference between these politicians and you is that you don't have the right to say whatever you want. Believe it or not. Should Crockett, AOC, Tlaib, Bernie? I don't know. Anyways, guys, welcome to the Rant Network. This is a go-to podcast, unfiltered, unapologetic discussion hosted by David Solomon and myself, Stuart Brisgell. We tackle a diverse range of topics with candid conversation, bold opinions, whether we're breaking down the latest headlines or exploring pop culture, debating politics, or delving into complexities of modern life. This is a platform for every perspective. So grab a seat, settle in. This is going to be a wild ride. David, we had tragedy in this country where a young man, father of two, founder of one of the largest organization grassroots companies that specifically was out to capture the minds of young adolescents. You know, like the Baal Shem Tov, like Abraham, they worked with the youth. Yes, I know David's eyes and ears lift up when I mentioned the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov is the founder on the 8th century of the Hasidic movement, one of the religious movements of American and European Jewry. And why am I bringing up these two examples about a Christian? Because what they had in common was they went after to allow and provide a forum for the youth. It was all about the youth, whether it's talking with their parents in a tent, trying to convince them and talk to them, or going to a college campus. This seems rather genuine, whether you agree or disagree with Charlie. I never met Charlie. Like many of you, we've seen his podcasts, his snips, seen some longer interviews on news networks. And whether you agreed or disagreed, Charlie never raised his voice, never yelled at anyone, and just talked. And for whatever reason, people are out there saying, great, he's dead. Almost like, kill the next one now. Who's next? Let's get a hit list. Sounds crazy. Who would think that any group would applaud in their jobs, at work, and expect the same as a Crockett, a Tlaib, or a Sanders, and many, many others on this vitriol left side of the aisle? David?
Well, Stuart, I got to tell you, there's one thing that's going to freak you out probably. is that I disagree with one little thing you said.
Wow, only one.
Bernie Sanders actually took the high road on this one. And
Oh,
I got to tell you, I have no respect for Bernie Sanders. I don't agree with Bernie Sanders. I think that Bernie Sanders is what he is. And I expressed it many times on this rant. My opinion. I've never called for Bernie Sanders' death. I've never asked anyone to go kill him. I never asked anybody to go cancel him. And last week, right after the Charlie Kirk passing, the assassination, if you watch the video he put out, that's what politicians should be doing. He denounced it. He denounced all violence. He's part of the problem. Yes, I'm not disagreeing. But he took the high road. A hardcore lefty who realized what is at stake. And he called for the end of it. But I didn't hear that from a lot of other ones. Instead, I heard high fives, praise, divisive words, instigator, agitator. I heard all these words again and again and again and again from the politicians, fueling and stoking people. And like you said, Stuart, politicians can say what they want because they're okay. They don't have to worry about it. Even if you accuse a president of rape and other things, these politicians are insulated to a point, but they can say and do what they want. They don't have to be accountable. The only accountability is at the ballot box. That's it. But it's like Stuart said, you and I don't have that. You could say what you want. If you think that Charlie Kirk should be assassinated, then aside from taking a good look in the mirror and asking yourself what the hell's wrong with you, if your employer finds out, as hundreds of stories that have leaked out have come out and said, yes, these people have lost their job, it's because you're immoral. And why would I want you in my company? I don't care what Stuart just said about the state of Florida. It's irrelevant. To me, what's relevant is if you believe that someone should be shot for their beliefs, I don't want you in my company. I don't want you near me. And it was funny, Stuart. If you look on social media, there's a guy screaming and freaking out over the fact that Microsoft fired him for supporting Charlie Kirk's death. And you know what the irony of it all is? He claims he was the one who helped build the DEI department in Microsoft. And I found that hysterical because the I in DEI is inclusion, not exclusion, inclusion. And he's upset. Look what I did. And now I'm being punished for celebrating the murder of a conservative.
Yep.
He doesn't see the irony in anything that he said. People are screaming and yelling that they can't. Now they've lost their job, and how dare their employer take away their livelihood? You are celebrating the removal of a human being from Earth. Who is going to take care of Mrs. Kirk and her children? You're celebrating it. You don't get the right to do that. They're teachers, pilots, servers in restaurants. All kinds of people are losing their job, and they're freaking out over that because they're seeing people like AOC, like Elizabeth Warren, who I'm surprised you didn't go after her, continuing the vitriol, not seeing the fact that they're part of the problem. As are right-wing conservatives, there are a lot of them out there who are doing it. I'm not saying that they're not. Both sides of the aisle have a certain amount of guilt. But where's the stop? Where's the end? Where's the realization? Oh, it's because guys like Bob Villain, a fucking piece of shit of a radical lefty performer, goes on stage and says, Kirk should rest in piss. Good that he's dead. His pronouns are was and were. And people are cheering. Cheering. These people, if you disagree, if you think that this person's death is worthy, there's something wrong with you. Now, Stuart, Charlie Kirk wrote on a post on April 7th, and I'm going to quote it. Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same about Donald Trump. Remember, these same people 1 year ago, after Trump was nearly killed in Butler, Pennsylvania, celebrated the attempt, but were disappointed that the guy didn't finish the job. This is immoral. This is wrong. This is massive brainwashing. This has to stop. Do you not see where this is going?
Yep.
Because tomorrow morning, if some radical GOP, right-wing guy does that to a left-wing, I mean, look, Bill Maher, Stephen A. Smith, and a variety of others, Chris Cuomo, all came out, and these are all lefties. These are all liberals, Democrats. They said we can't continue this. It has to stop, and they appealed to both sides to stop. Instead, they stoke. They continue to stoke. There's no call for calm. Stuart, I got to tell you, I'm amazed how they're saying, "Oh, Donald Trump has to stop, and then you'll see we'll stop." What the hell is that? That is the biggest load of shit I've ever heard. Because nothing Donald Trump has done in 10 years has been good. So suddenly now, if Donald Trump stops his rhetoric, you're stopping your rhetoric? You call that leadership? No. True leadership would have been, and I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, would have called for both sides of the aisle to say, we got to stop. We got to stop. We got to stop. Stuart, politicians, influencers need extra security. Okay, guys like Ben Shapiro, a conservative who's gone to campuses, who's gone to perform, has to hire security. He said it himself. Others have had that security. You and I going to synagogue need to have extra security. Next week, we will have hordes of security because this is what has gone on with all the vitriol. If you don't stop it somewhere, it's just going to get worse. And Stuart, I know I've gone on, but I can't get it out of my head. What person celebrates the murder of another person? That person, in my mind, you are so immoral. You don't deserve. Yeah, I don't know.
David, so we spoke a couple days ago about judges, on how they have to be removed from office, and we have to stand up and be vocal about the distrust that they've caused. We spoke about following it, the death of Charlie, which again is a loss and fueling tens of thousands of people to join an organization which isn't going to go anywhere. In fact, I believe, as I said also in the last broadcast, that they'll canonize and they will martyr Charlie Kirk. But you know what else is just amazing is that there are going to be more in the field than ever before. When Floyd died, a convicted felon who was in the process of committing a crime was tragically murdered. There were billions of dollars of riots all over the country. You had BLM movements, politicians taking the knee. So Warren, a Pelosi, a Schumer. Let's go back to just a few days ago. The murder of an icon was taken far too early from this earth. David, were there any riots in the street?
No, that was it.
Was there any call for retribution?
No, but interestingly enough, did you see the vigil last week?
Yep.
Quiet vigil disrupted by
another individual who just so happens to be wearing the same monogram T-shirt that the alleged murderer was wearing, which I find it actually amazing that the media hasn't grabbed that note.
No, they don't want to, Stuart. The left media doesn't want to go there.
Do you know
because
why?
It exposes the truth, Stuart.
Yes, and you know what the truth is? They are going to likely link this back to a single organization, which may or may not be funded by the likes of Soros or Rothschild and others. In fact, I don't see a condemnation letter from.
You're not going to, Stuart. You're not going to.
So again, now that we know people that aren't politicians, that are literally more than likely going to be linked behind these organizations, maybe it's time that we, the people, use the laws on the books and clear the table of these people's reach and touch.
How? How, Stuart?
Well, you know
How,
what,
Stuart?
I'm going to tell you. You see, David, you're an ex-media person. Skydance has just got permission to take over CBS.
So what?
Skydance will likely, and this includes CNN, will likely reformat both those networks.
And someone else will pop up in another. Stuart, today media is not what you think it is. You know, it's wrong. The media is. It's not the traditional media that is the only problem. You are ignoring online all of these ex-media folks who now launch their own podcasts that have followers. Okay, from Megyn Kelly to Chris Cuomo to others, they have their own podcast. They do it and say what they want. No one stops them. No one edits them. And they say what they want, and they have their sheep following them. And even Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who are on the far right, who should also be removed, who are promoting vitriol and hate and anti-Semitism and the like, funded, by the way, allegedly by Qatar and all these things. You tell me, how do you stop it?
Do you know what the difference between a CBS, an NBC, and a Chris Cuomo? You know what the difference is, David?
What, Stuart?
They don't have the billions of dollars to fight a war.
Stuart, I'm going to tell you, you do not clearly spend time listening to these podcasters. You don't realize the reach that they have. They're helping to stoke this problem because there's no one stopping them, editing them, vetting them. They could say what they want without any facts, without any substance, and they will have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. And I know you want to wrap this up, Stuart, but I ain't letting you do it. I'm not letting you stop here. Okay, because people need to understand that the only way to stop this hate and this violence is to cut those people off, but they won't. And so if Sundance takes over CBS, so
and
what?
CNN.
So what? Look, Don Lemon was fired from CNN, has his own podcast, has his own followers. It doesn't stop. Today, mass media isn't what it used to be. Now these guys are all on their podcasts, like you and me, spreading the word on social media, unvetted. No one cares. No one checks. No one's going to check. Why would you check Don Lemon? He was a media guy. None of them are being checked, Stuart. And whatever they say goes. And they're part of the problem. They've indoctrinated and helped to indoctrinate this hate. And I'm serious, from Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson on the hard right, all the way to the folks on the hard left. They're the ones that are the problem. They're the ones that have to be cut off. And unless Donald Trump puts out a law that prohibits it, which would be almost impossible to hold people to, how are you going to stop them?
Well, David, you're right, but I have faith. Something that I have more of today than I did yesterday. There wasn't guns in the street. There wasn't civil war. And you know what there is? I have more faith that this shot across the bow that took this man's life might be the tipping point to get rid of the AOCs, to get rid of the Tlaibs. David.
I hope you're right. But the problem is, Stuart, when a politician can say and do, and I've ranted about it with that when you weren't around, that Rashida Tlaib stood up and called for, to annihilate Israel and death. She really basically alluded to death to Jews, and no one said a word about her, and Congress won't censor her. I don't see it happening, Stuart. I think you guys, I hate to say this, I don't know what it's going to take for you to wake up. If 9/11 didn't do it for you, what will?
Great statement. And on that note, David, I'm going to wrap it up. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming in and joining us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. David and I duel it out, cutting the latest headlines in a thought-provoking, honest conversation. Don't forget, please PM us, message us, share us. We put out tons of these little snazzy little snips. Please share them in your feeds. We